Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little dose of reality. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk. I'm your host, Steve Molloy, and we've got a surprise guest tonight, just on the spur of the moment. My buddy, my original co-host here at the Real Talk Fins Talk show, Dolphins Thirsty. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I can't excuse me, I can't complain
You're all
outside of what
choked
we
up, right?
saw.
I know, I know.
Outside of the Dolphins, I can't complain.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Hey, I want to thank everybody for joining the show tonight. Everybody that's joining the chat, please hit that like button. If you're on other platforms, come over here to the YouTube channel, join the community over here. Let's talk Dolphins, and make sure you subscribe. You hit that bell down there, and then share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. And remember, we may not always agree everything Miami Dolphins. One thing we can agree on, we are all Dolphins. So, Rob, my buddy, how you been, man? Tell me what you're thinking about this team. What your evaluation was in the off season, and what you thought about the Colts game.
Well, the off season, you kind of knew it was a quiet, I call it reset. Wasn't a rebuild, wasn't a tear down, but it was a quiet reset. There was none of the like, oh, let's work this guy's contract so we can go sign some big free agent signing, which we've been doing over the years with Ross as the owner and Greer saying, oh, let's do this, and then we can sign this guy. Then it was kind of a quiet guy, and they even obviously they didn't want to pay John New Smith. That was the first sign. Ramsey had his other issues, nothing really to do about money. That was a
Yep.
whole other issue. But Johnny Smith was simply, he wanted to be here, and the Dolphins just did not want to give him the cha-ching. So they moved on from him and bring in Chris Greer Special, a guy that had retired and says, oh, yeah, I take money from Miami and go live retirement life down in South Florida.
Yep.
Why not? So it's just, you knew they weren't all in. It was a quiet reset. I mean, Greer himself even said at one point that it was
Mhm.
like a sometimes you have to reset, and it's an excuse to not be all in on. And I'm okay with a quiet reset, but I'm not okay with that week one performance when you still got stars in your team. It's unacceptable to lay an egg like that in week one. And I know you got your format, so want me to go up by yours. So I'm not going to steal any of your thunder, but I'm sure some of your complaints are the same as mine. So I'm going to let you roll.
Oh, no, no problem, Rob. Rob, you can steal the show, man. I don't care. This is a rarity that you're here.
I know it's last
And
minute too. I
last
just
minute.
sent him a text 5 minutes ago. Oh, I talked to you backstage, and then right before I was about to say bye, I said, "Oh, I go live. Why not?" So this,
Well, I appreciate it, man, because you were the original co-host here with me. We started Real Talk Fence Talk, and man, it just brings back memories when you come up here and have a little reunion here with my little show, Real Talk Fence Talk. So I
hey, it's a good
appreciate
show, man. It's a good show.
it. Yeah.
So, and thank you to Ray and Orion. I probably don't want to mess up your names, but
Hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
thank.
Real, uh, but the thing is, Rob, I yes, I think a lot of us that weren't wearing the rose-colored glasses and weren't buying into the hopium and the hype and that's an indicator to me. That's a red flag when they start having to hype things up, in the off season and all that, and just talking like this is going to be the greatest team since sliced bread, when we all knew what this team was about just by the way that their actions, right? Their actions in the off season, the spending, the budget, right? That Ross has put this team on, which is, thank God, he's finally done it. Now, is it going to be good for the fans? No, yes and no, right? It's kind of a catch 22, because you want your team to win, you want your team to go to the playoffs, you want your team to go to the Super Bowl, right? You want your team to play well, but then on the other side, we know what this organization has been for the last 25 years. We know that Chris Greer has been in charge for 10 years and hasn't won a playoff game at all. He's the only general manager in history that hasn't won a playoff game in his 10-year tenure.
Yep, I know. I mean, but the man's been here since the last year that we won a playoff game, and I know he wasn't leading and making the charge all those years, but he's still part of the organizational philosophy. That's why we needed to hire someone from the outside with new lines of thinking and bring in someone, of a clear mind. We just hired the same guy that's heard what the Dolphins have done over and over, and that's who he learned from. He learned from Tannenbaum, I call him. He learned from Jeff
Mhm.
Hire because these are the guys he looked. So what else is he going to other than know? That's what he knows, the Dolphins' way of doing things, and it just hasn't worked for a quarter of a century. So to me,
Right.
just me and Brett the Lagarzi have been on the Chris Greer's not the man for way before it was popular to be on, on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
He's one
Yeah.
of the guys I really criticize because there's not much you can do about the owner, unless he's
Right.
team. And I don't even want to say the other option, what happens to him. But, as long as he's in charge of the team, it is what it is. He can build you a great building up in New York, but he can't build a good football team. He doesn't know how. He doesn't have the football knowledge, and he just hires the wrong people to run the show every few years. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I'm in line with with what you're saying there. I agree. I know I've heard two sides of the story. I've heard that he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the team. He doesn't want to win. And then I hear another story where is, yeah, he wants to win. He just doesn't know how. He
Right,
doesn't
yeah, he
know.
wants to win. He wouldn't spend all that money. He's gone out of his way to spend money. He even gave them a nice training facility. He gives them all the stuff to do to win. Always ranked as one of the best organizations. And if Chris Greer says, "Oh, can we rework this contract?" A lot of owners will say, "No, we're already. I'm not reworking. Fix your mess." He would say, "Okay, let's give him more money down the road, kick it down the can," and he would do that. He just
Yeah.
puts the wrong people picking the groceries, as Parcells said one time before. You're just picking the wrong, just you got the wrong people picking the groceries, unfortunately, and it's not the winning recipe to come home with because they haven't done so for so long. I think I read recently this is Ross's 17th year as part of that. 25 years no playoff. 17 of those years are on under Ross ownership. So it's
Yeah.
not even like the Huizinga got all the guys he ever wanted to get. He got Nick Saban. He got everyone that he ever tried to hire. Jimmy Johnson. He got anyone he tried to get. It's just at the end result, it wasn't any better anyway. It's still nothing great. It's been way too long for Dolphin fans to just to have anything to hold their hat on. We still got to hope every year that some team loses so we can say, we're the only team that has an undefeated team. I mean, your
Yeah.
username reps that name on Twitter. You got 72 in there for that
Yeah.
because it's really the
That's
only
right.
thing we have to talk about, other than
Mhm.
some good regular season games over the years. But,
Yeah.
and I'm old enough to, like I said, I saw the Dolphins lose the Super Bowl in the 80s. I'm not old enough to remember as you, and you're a little bit older than me, so you're old enough to remember the Super Bowl wins.
Right.
You were
Right.
very young, but you remember the Super
Sure.
Bowl wins. I don't remember that. I remember us losing to the Redskins. Yes, they were the Washington Redskins back then, so I'm allowed to say it. And then I remember them losing to the 49ers. And that's it. Those are the highlights of my Dolphin years. And I used to complain like, "Oh, we lost Super Bowl fees." Only if I knew what was coming down the road that we would go so many years without even winning a playoff game. I guess I wanted to complain back in the day. And
Yeah.
back it up. I'm sorry, I just have to say, back it up. Always great talking to you there on X. You rock. He's a fellow baseball fan, but he liked your Orioles. But I'm a Red Sox fan, so we disagree on baseball. But he's a great follow, guys. Give him a follow on Twitter if you don't already. But yeah, Steve, it's just frustration, and I hope this isn't in your. I don't want to steal from your little
No, Rob, you're
book, and
good.
then it's all going to be you. But another thing that was frustrating for me, and it was minor, but clock management. After all these years, we still got bad clock management. Say if that game had been close and we scored that touchdown at the end of the game, and we're only like a score behind them, you have to burn a timeout on a 2-point conversion. That's what already been set. They go, hey, if we score here, the 2-point conversion play is going to be this, and then they have to burn a timeout on a 2-point conversion. And there was another point in the game they had to call a timeout. It's just after all these years, I don't know. McDaniel should give up play calling it for nothing else because he has a lot going on in the NFL sideline. You got people talking, you got all this, you got people running around. Let Smith upstairs call the play, and if Mike McDaniel thinks the play is awful, then he has the final say to override it. But we take so long to get the play in the up there. Most of the time, we're coming up to the line. We're going down to the final second. So even if Tua was a great guy at audibling into something else, he doesn't even have the time to audible. By the time you get all your guys in motion and stuff, we're like, snap the damn ball. It's like,
Yeah, for sure.
it's he doesn't even have time to look over the defense and say, oh, I'm changing to this because I see this safety's moving over here. We're going to have this great play over here. But we don't have it because normally we're like a Chinese fire drill running up to the line every time, and it's just frustrating.
It is very frustrating, very frustrating. And I'm going to talk about McDaniel and everything and Weaver. We'll get, I'll get to that. But I got you here, so I want to take advantage and pick your head. What do you think about the draft picks that Miami picked this year? The defensive tackles, we got Biggers, Grant, and Jordan Phillips, and then on the O-line side, we got Jonah Severnaya, and now we got the guy that we brought in from Chicago who has been injured or was injured with an Achilles. Now he was injured in training camp. Then he goes and plays his first game, third play of the game. He's injured. He's out for 4 weeks. And Austin Jackson is out now for another 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, come on. It's just getting ridiculous now.
Yeah,
But
no,
what do you think of these draft?
you're 100% right. Now we have to sign a guy that had played for New England, and then he was on whoever's Cleveland's, I think, practice squad. So we have to bring him in, put him on the active roster. But the guy, he's basically been, a bust, I guess. He's only played 22 games after being a first-round draft pick or whatever. So
he's been injured too.
yeah,
Cole
so
Strange. Cole Strange.
It's a shame. It's just we have a history of doing that. That's why I called him the Chris Greer special, because it's like you bring in Waller, who had been injured and then retired, bring him in to be our starting tight end. He might play and he might make us eat all of our words. He may go on and have a John U. Smith like season.
Hopefully.
But, hopefully so. And then you sign Daniel, who's coming off an Achilles, which is a hard enough injury coming in. You never even know how they fully recover.
Yeah.
And then he gets hurt right away in training camp, battling an ankle thing all, through the last stages of the preseason, I should say. Then, boom, he gets hurt with a whole different injury in that, and I don't like injuries. I don't want anyone to get injured on any team, but unfortunately, Chris Greer, guys that already has a history. Our quarterback, which I know I'm not going to touch on Tua's performance because I know that's going to be a focal point of you, but just before he was in the Dolphins, he came in with a major hip injury, and we draft him with the 5th pick of the overall draft, coming off a hip injury that we didn't even know if he was going to walk normal there for a while. He was laying in a hospital bed for a long time.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's just frustrating that Chris Greer has had a job so long. It's just very frustrating.
For sure. I see Adrian's in here from the Rainy Day podcast. Great guy. Make sure you go over and check Adrian over there at the Rainy Day podcast. Very good podcast. He doesn't only do Dolphins, he does other things. I think he's wrestling and college sports as well. So go over there and check his podcast out as well. Great guy. And of course, you mentioned it already, Rob, the Backup Bench podcast, JB over there, another great show. He's put on some real good shows over there. Make sure you check him out as well. Show me the money. Show me the money. That's exactly what I said, Adrian. Show me the money, and we'll get to him. We'll get to Mr. Show Me the Money for sure. It was just a terrible showing. It was disastrous. And I kind of saw this coming, Rob, in the offseason. Um, uh, and specifically the Jacksonville Jaguars game. Uh, that was very concerning when you brought in the first string offense. Oh, grant you, Waddle wasn't there, Hill wasn't there. Okay, I got it. But then when I saw the way Tua was, the line was operating, the O line that we supposedly fixed up, it didn't look very good at all.
You know,
It didn't look
the
good at
backups.
all.
Name of the backups.
And
Jacksonville.
these were the backups. Now we had Jonah Sevenai on there. I get it, but Ace per head, Curtis from Ace per head, and Mr. Greg Mean from the Fins Talk Sports Network, they did a film evaluation of Jonah Sevenaya. And Jonah Sevenia, or Sevenia, however you pronounce it, I know I'm
I was gonna
butchering it
say
up.
I wouldn't even say. I would call him Jonah. I
Yeah,
wouldn't even try to
that's
say the last name. So
Yeah, that's what I try to do most of the time is Jonah. I call him Jonah. But anyway, if you look at his technique, he has a wide stance, and therefore he doesn't have the balance, right? And he was getting pushed back a lot in the opening game with the Colts. Now, grant you, the Colts doesn't have a bad they don't have the bad trenches on either side of the ball. So this was a good test for our line and a good test for our defense, and they failed miserably. But those technique issues have not been fixed with Jonas Savania. That is like, from the words of Craig Mean, that is malpractice. That is coaching malpractice. You, Butch Berry, in trust with Butch Berry, right? That's what we heard, a lot the last couple of years, right? You telling me you can't those are basic fundamentals of football, one-on-one footwork, and his legs were like that wide. I mean, and like I said, it doesn't give him the balance in his and therefore his upper body, his arms, instead of being tucked in, and getting that, what do they call it, leverage, his hands are out here blocking, you know and that was that I've detected that in this last game as well, and it hasn't been corrected yet. Number one, he should not even be on the field with that kind of technique. Now, I understand that he has to go on the field because we drafted him to start, and Chris Greer is not going to take him off the field, just like he never took Liam Eichenberg off the field, just like he moved Austin Jackson all over the place. Iggy, right? The cornerback that we drafted, he's gonna die with these players,
of course he kept Cam Smith around
and
forever.
Cam Smith, yeah, all these players, man,
I know
and
draft status means a lot to Chris Greer because he knows
yep,
like the owner is going to ask questions. Oh, you draft these guys and none of them are making your team. What's happened? So
yeah,
unfortunately, draft status mean. Hopefully, he's a young player, Jonah, and he can learn and do. I see. I know. I was going to point that out. Anthony doesn't blame him completely, but Jonah, he's still young. He's rookie. He must have some talent. I hope because our scouts and general managers were willing to move up and give up a decent pick. I think a third round pick to move up and get him. And left us a lot
mm-hmm,
of spaces where we had no picks because we had that dead
mm-hmm,
space after giving up the third.
yeah.
So he has to have some talent. Is it coaching or is he just doesn't are they telling him what to do and he just doesn't do it because he goes in the game and just
Good
his
point. Good
instincts
point.
are to
Very
do
good
that.
point. And I agree. I don't put it all on the guy on Jonah, right? I don't. I do put it on coaching, and it could be a little of both. As you said, they may be asking him to do these certain things, hey, practice this technique, work on this or whatever. He may be stubborn, He may be, he may just be doing his own thing, like the rest of this Dolphins defense that did on the game against the Colts, freelance. But
Yeah.
that's a great point, and I do think he has the talent. He's a strong kid. If he can work on that technique and fix that, I think he's going to be a good, solid guard for us. I'm not going to call him an All-Pro or he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a solid guard for him at this point, just like Patrick Paul.
That's all we
Patrick
need. We need
Paul.
so if we had solid if you had this solid offensive line across the board, is all you really need. You don't need
Yeah,
all pros across the board, but you do need
yeah,
solid offensive line play and be able to win battles up front at times, So, and
Hundred
that's the
percent,
thing.
hundred percent.
You definitely need a good offensive line, but they don't all have to be, Dwight Stevenson and Richmond Webbs of the world and all of this, but they have to at least
Yeah.
be able to, win their battles the majority during the game,
Mhm.
and that's where we failed
100%.
over the years. And where we also failed is keeping our guys healthy over the years,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Yep. And Patrick Paul though, Patrick Paul had a really good game. I think he's really he's a guy that's going to be for on that O line if he doesn't get hurt, right?
Right.
Which I don't see any signs of that at this point in time. But I think he's going to be really solid for us and for years to come. I
And I
really
think
like.
I know that's where credit is due. Because a lot of
Mhm.
people blasted that pick when Greer made that pick, saying, "Oh,
Yeah,
he's." But credit where credit due. He seems
yeah,
to. Good thing is he wasn't thrown to the wolves last year, so he
right.
played a little here and there. But now he's going to be the starter, and it looks like we may have found a left tackle, and which
Yeah,
is great because if we end up moving along, like I say, I'm not going to touch the Tua topic until you get to it. But if we do down the line have a regime change and Tua's gone, which is the only way Tua's ever going to be gone, is if you have a regime change, and then then yeah, maybe the left side will be the blind side again. The left tackle will be the blind side again. So it's good to have a left tackle that might be a good player for us for a few years. Now we just have to sign them. We love to let our good players go. We draft good
yeah.
players finally, and then we let them go. But that's a whole other show.
Yeah,
So
does AVG ring a bell?
yeah, I
Yeah,
know. So it's just it's
crazy,
it's
crazy,
crazy.
crazy. But yeah, so I think he played solid, and in fact, I know this isn't the gospel PFF, but I do use that. That's the best indicator that we have of players' performance. If you go and you watch your all 22, or you watch the game, and you look, and then you go and look at the PFF grades, you say, oh, okay, I can see that, right? So when I went and I looked at the PFF grades for Patrick Paul, they were up there around 80, 84 on both
Okay.
both pass blocking and run blocking.
Okay. So
So that
he
those are very good grades. Those are Terran Armstead grades, to be honest with you. So I mean,
okay.
he had a great game. It was a good test for him. This was a good uh uh front with the Baltimore. I was going to call them Baltimore with the Indianapolis Colts. They had a decent front, not very good at stopping the run, but getting after the passer and pressure, they're very good. And he held his own. And on the other side, Aaron Brewer, he had another decent game. He had a typical Aaron Brewer game. He was a little less effective in the pass blocking, but very effective in the run blocking. He had a grade of over 80. Um, the rest are not even worth mentioning. But with Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer, those guys stood out. And I had some my doubts about Aaron Brewer. No, he's not a good power blocker. But out in space, getting Achan out there and getting those guys out, with the outside zone that we run, he's a perfect fit. Now, if we
Right.
start using Ollie Gordon more, and we try to get a power blocking, a run game going inside, zone run game going, which we didn't even try to establish. To be fair, we didn't even have a chance, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We were
And he
down,
did pick up one first down when they handed to him.
and he looked good, didn't he? He looked good.
One of the few bright spots of the game. So I
Yeah.
had to point that out. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And another bright spot was Achan. Achan looked like a power back, man. He put his
yeah.
heart and soul in that run, and he was determined to get to that goal line.
No, I
And
agree. That
and if
that was, even though the
yeah,
game was out of hand at that point, at least he said, "You know what? We're not getting shut out. I'm getting the touchdown, and
exactly.
I'm getting in there." So so there, and that's it. I think we covered all the. Hey, Bobby. So I think we cover all the bright spots, unfortunately, and in like in 1 minute or in 1 minute, and you could spend hours on the negative.
I
As I
know.
told you, I have to leave by 8ish, so I can maybe say a couple extra minutes. But
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
know
Rob.
you guys, you're gonna make sure because Steve probably gonna go on a rant soon. But I know I'll let you do your Tua thing, and then I will chime in, and then I'll head out. So I want to hear what you have to say about Tua, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and Rob can vouch for me on this. I've been a little, I've been called a Tua hater. I've been called everything in the book. And you know what? I really don't care, just as long as you don't call me late for dinner. You can call me anything you want. But in this channel, and Rob knows, I'm going to tell you the truth of how I feel about Tua Tagovailoa. Okay? In one word, he sucks.
Well, I think that's 2 words, but
Sucks.
there you go. So
Okay? And
yeah,
look, I think I've been too easy on Tua for the last year or so. I really have. You know, I've called him a good quarterback. I've said, oh, he's good. Sometimes he's even real good. And but this whole off season, you know, I was watching him um, and some of the practices through via internet, right? There were some guys over there, and they were showing films and film and video and stuff. They were shooting shots of him in practice and everything. Now I didn't get a big sample size of that, but when I was watching him in training camp, he didn't look sharp to me at all through all of training camp. There's something was just off with this guy, and I couldn't figure it out. And even though, you know, I said that to myself, I said, okay, maybe he'll, it's practice. You know, he's going through the motions. You know, he's a veteran. He's been with the team for 6 years. You know, he's been in the system in this system that we're playing in right now for 4 years. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. Let's see what happens. Right, the first game comes up. He looked just like he did in practices, man. Wasn't sharp. His arm even looks like it's gotten weaker. Uh, and he's the same guy. And
I
in
know,
fact, I think he's regressed. He had
and is
he's regressing,
yeah, the
and I
one
think
strength he had, everyone always said he was one of the most accurate
yes,
quarterbacks, and he was on that first interception. It was just way. I mean, it was just way off. And
yeah,
supposedly, I didn't watch the film because I'm not going to sit there and watch that much, horrible game again. But Cal Krabs, to give full credit, I listened to him a little bit, and he
hmm
broke down the film, and
hmm
he said that on that same play that he missed, um, Tyreek Hill, I almost said Randall Hill, so my age back from the old Hurricane guy. That was Tyreek Hill.
right,
He missed him, but he says HN had broken free on that play, and it would have been like basically an easy score on that
hmm
play. But it's just he was so focused on getting to Tyreek, and then that he just let the ball sell, and it was like a horrible. It wasn't just like a little over; it's like horribly over. He threw a breadbasket interception that almost even a non-athlete could catch. It
yeah,
was just like
absolutely, absolutely, and that's and Xavier Howard said it best. He said, all you have to do is take away that first read from Tua Tagovailoa and clog the middle,
it
and he's
becomes
gonna panic.
panic mode. He
Yeah,
said,
he's gonna
"Yeah,
go into panic mode, and that's exactly what we saw, and that's exactly what we've seen for the
yeah."
last 4 years. He's been
And
doing
then
the
ball
same thing.
security. He knows, okay, the offensive line didn't give him any protection on this one particular play, but you're not athletic. You're not Josh Allen. You're not going to run away from the pressure like Josh Allen can. So hold the darn ball. Don't be having like this, trying to get around. It's just like things like that. You just got to have common sense. You have to know, okay, I don't have the mobility of some of these guys, so I'm not going to outrun these guys coming after me. Let me just take this hit. We're gonna take a loss, but I'm gonna hold on to the ball and live to play in the next play. Instead, he just holds the ball like a watermelon out there or whatever, and he
Yeah,
fumbles the ball. So it's just like
yeah,
I mean, the common sense factor wasn't with him this week. And
exactly.
I've defended Tua over the most part, saying he's
Sure.
good. I've never said he's great. I've always said he's good enough to win if everything else on the team is in perfect order. If you got a good offensive line, you got weapons, You got a good scheme, he can be a decent quarterback. Like I said, he's
Yeah.
not going to go off script like a Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, or a Josh Allen. And I just said some of the best damn quarterbacks playing today, so I know it's not fair, but he doesn't have that trait to where he can make things happen on his own feet that gives teams something to worry about either.
That's
So,
the problem. That's the problem, Rob.
yeah,
If you look at today's quarterbacks, whether they have a good line or not, it don't matter. Because if you go watch the game where the Baltimore and Buffalo game, both those quarterbacks were running for their lives. No, they weren't running on design plays. They're running because they had to. They were getting pressure.
yep,
And
no, agreed.
and when you're playing a good team, you're going to get a lot of pressure and you're going to have to go off script. I don't know how many times I've been saying this, right? For the last 4 years. It seems like I'm just repeating myself over and over again, but I am. And because the same things happen over and over and over and over and over again, right? And he's still making the same mistakes that he made when he was a freaking rookie. And
Yeah.
that's the way he played in that game. He was making rookie mistakes.
No, he
Well,
did. He looked like a rookie. You know, some rookie quarterbacks looked better than him in their first game than what Tua looked like. It was awful. And I'm not sitting here saying this all Tua's fault. The defense didn't even get a stop. And then when they finally got a stop, they run into the punter. So there's
that's
a
fair.
lot of blame to go around. So this isn't going to be the best only Tua. I like telling Steve backstage, I wish it was only Tua because it's a lot easier to fix one mistake. I mean, the Dolphins haven't had a franchise quarterback basically since Dan Marino, so maybe it's not so easy for the Dolphins, but it's a lot easier to find one position than saying, oh, our defense sucks too. Our offense sucks. We don't have this. We don't have that. I wish it was just Tua. So I'm not putting all the blame on Tua, but that was a horrible performance. He didn't give us a chance because even if the defense sucked, if he would have had a great performance, he could have kept us going score for score. But instead, no, he laid an egg. The defense laid an egg, and it was just we got out coached, out offense, out defense. So other way, that's not a good recipe. And the special teams, it was really only one awful special teams play, but it was a big factor. You finally stopped them, and if you stop them there and you score before the half, you might actually have some momentum going into the half and the whole
Mhm,
flow of the game changes because we get the
mhm.
ball. But no, we go and run into the damn punter. It's just we're not a sound, disciplined football team, and it starts with the head coach. It really starts with the owner that lets them do whatever they want. Starts with Chris Greer not being strong, saying, no, I want this player, this player. Let's coaches decide. Sometimes he pick. We just have no sound structure. I long for the days of Don Shula. May he rest in peace forever. Because I mean, at the end, maybe he didn't win the Super Bowl, but he still, as an older coach, was making us competitive almost every year, other than his last couple years.
Yeah.
And you knew, like if you listen to Joe Rhodes in the mornings, you knew not to mess around, or Shula's going to rip you in the film room. He's going to embarrass you. Not like, well, we can learn from this. No, he's going to say, Joe Rose, you did not catch that damn ball, or you didn't do the blocking assignment, or you ran the wrong route, and he's going to make you feel like crap. And that's what Joe Rose is hoping that, but I just don't see it in McDaniel. He goes, I hope he calls out people in the film room, watch all together, and say, okay, guys, look, you guys did this. I know he kind of threw Zach Sealer under the bus, but publicly, which I'd rather just be done privately, all in there yelling at these guys and whatever. But he probably knew Zach Sealer is one guy that's not going to make a beef about him saying something. He probably even told, hey, Zach, I'm going to go say something about you. And Zach probably like, okay, whatever.
Well,
So,
and that's a good point because if he's making public statements like that, if Tua's making public statements like that, like he didn't, like it wasn't like he didn't make any mistakes, like he's the left hand of God, and then he's telling, oh, I'm gonna watch who's going in the film room in the morning. Dude, you better go in the film. You better
yeah,
be the first one in the film room in the morning, and you better have a front seat watching
yeah.
film, not outside partying on your yacht in the off season while all these other quarterbacks, Justin Fields, are out there in the lab practicing all year.
Yep.
That's his problem. He doesn't care anymore.
Well,
He
I don't know
doesn't.
about that, but I
No, he
do
doesn't
know.
care anymore.
Yeah,
Rob,
you
he
might be
doesn't
right.
care anymore.
I don't like the fact that, and Ryan Tannehill kind of had the same thing. They just smile on the sideline after. Why can't we just get a quarterback? I'd rather get a quarterback the rest of the league hates because he's out there like,
Yes,
everyone hated Tom Brady, not only
yes.
because Tom Brady run, but he'd be yelling at people on the sideline saying, what the hell are we doing?
Just like I'm doing, just like the rant I went on. That's what we need.
Right, but and Dan Marino used to get all pissed on the sidelines and be mad.
Yeah.
You just see Ryan Tannehill and Tua when Tannehill was on the Dolphins. There was a couple times he's like smiling after an interception or whatever, and then Tua too. He smirked a couple times on the sideline the other day. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Hey, Ashley of 305 Sports Babe, you're the best, and thanks for getting those big E bracelets out to me so quickly. I appreciate
Oh
it.
yeah, that was
And
great. That was great.
and Big E, you're awesome. But anyway, back on the rant. Now we had to have one nice moment. Thank you, Ashley, for coming in and giving us a nice
Well, I want to
moment there.
thank Ashley, 305 Sports Bag. Make sure you go check their channel as well. They do some good stuff out there. Now, I think they're a little bit more on the optimism side. They're probably not like me. I kind of go on my rants, and I guess folks can see me. A lot of times I've been called negative, Debbie Downer, Tua hater. But no, if you want some really good content and mellow out and just, you know, get some optimism, go over there to their channel because it's needed in this community, especially right about now after a game like this.
No, I know. She missed a 1 minute of positive when we were talking about A-Chan and Ollie Gordon and uh, Patrick Paul. See, we named three good players that played okay, Ashley. So we do have some positive things. I normally try to be positive, but it's very hard to be positive after that game. I mean, it's just like my mom always says, if you have nothing to say nice, don't say anything at all. So none of us could be able to talk if we all lived by that philosophy after that week ugly
Yep. Yep.
performance because that
Yep.
was, it was horrible. It's embarrassing. It was so bad. It's like it was just my son and I sit down. Oh, it's fun. Within like 5 minutes of the game, you knew it was going to be a long day. You
Oh
knew
yeah.
like you
As
know
soon as they scored, I knew it was going to be a long day.
Unless it
You
was
know,
like a
I mean,
video game, you could just hit the reset button and say, "Okay, that didn't happen. Let's do this again." Because
yeah, for
it was
sure. For
awful. It
sure.
was
For
ugly,
sure.
and it's like I say, if it was just Tua, it'd be so much easier to fix. But man, the defense being the first time since the '70s that this team score on every position. Even when we scored 70 points, we didn't score on every. So it's just like I couldn't believe that it's been that long since a team scored on every possession. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the
Yeah.
one time we stopped and we run into the stinking punter. So it's just
Yeah.
what's a whole team effort of suckiness.
No, I agree. It was a whole team effort, but when you're getting $212 million and you're the captain of the team and you're the quarterback and you're the franchise quarterback, I think you better do a lot better than you did. 2.7 passer rating.
Yeah. Oh no, it
2.7.
was it was. Oh, he sucked. He's a franchise. He deserves all the criticism he
So
gets.
yeah, when
And
he
for him to
plays
get
good,
upset at Omar Kelly, who's not a big, I'm not the biggest
yeah.
Omar Kelly fan, but when Omar Kelly pointed out that he sometimes turns over the ball on bunches, he goes, "Oh, that's a crazy." I'm
I'm
like,
glad
no,
I'm
it's
glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because I got the statistics on Tua right now.
yeah.
Mr. Show me the money. Let me let me
And
let me
Ray,
go
we
over
did
this
talk a
real
little
quick.
bit about McDaniel and his clock management not getting it, but yeah, we could
Oh,
do a
oh,
whole show on McDaniel. Listen,
yeah,
I
okay.
like the guy as a human, but man, I just wish sometimes he would just answer our question without us. And I mean, I'm not a multi-million dollar hit coach, so I can do my uhs and ums. But when you're a multi-million dollar, just answer the damn question without saying, "Well, he
Well,
sounds like a philosopher."
there's a
So,
method there's a method to his madness and
oh, I know there is.
he's
It,
doing it intentionally. But
well, of course he is. He's like a
here's
politician.
yeah, here's Tua Tagovailoa. He has played since September 8th, 2023. He has played 29 games. And during that time, he leads all quarterbacks in the NFL in turnovers with 31, which includes 23 interceptions and 8 fumbles lost. There is your franchise 220 $212 million. Show me the freaking money. You guys don't know football. Go sit on the couch and eat your potato chips, quarterback.
Yes, I know. And I know it's crazy, but when Omar Kelly pointed out that he does turn over in bunches and he says, "Oh, that's a crazy statement," I'm like, "Oh, Tua, just sometimes you got to shut your mouth and just go with it. You're the
Dude,
franchise quarterback.
he's
You're getting the money. You're going to get some of the blame." And
well,
you know,
that's the problem. He got the big money. Now he thinks he's all this. And you can tell his attitude has changed. And I'm not kidding. Ever since he got that, he said, "Show me the money."
yeah.
His attitude has changed. Okay. And not only that, Mr. McDaniel is protecting him still, is coddling him. The one that pounded the table. You want to hear about Mike McDaniel pounding the table for his money? For show me the money. And then the next 2 games, last year he gets hurt when everybody, including on this
Well,
channel
Steve got
and a
lost,
lot of other
and his anger
podcasters
reeked
have
out.
said he's going to get
But
hurt.
Steve,
Why are you paying him the money? You want to hear about Mike McDaniel? I'll tell you about that geek. I'll tell you about
Steve,
that.
you're cutting out. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're cutting out. You're cutting.
Oh,
Steve,
you hear
you
me?
cut out on a lot of that. I think you
Oh.
knocked out the internet with your yelling. You went blank for a while.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotcha. But
All
anyway,
that great rant and it went blank.
it went blank. But here's the deal with Mike McDaniel. He went and pounded the frickin' table for this kid, for Tua Tagovailoa. Okay? And what happens? Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of podcasters, right? The ones that tell the truth, not the ones that push the hopium, right? And not
Steve
those
is
guys
having some
are those guys.
audio difficulties.
Okay? You can't hear me?
There he is.
You can't hear me? Do you hear me? Hello?
Steve, you're having some audio difficulties. I can't hear you. Ray, can you hear Steve?
Can anybody in the chat hear me?
I don't know. I
Tell me
hear
yes
you,
or
Steve.
no. Can everybody hear me clearly in the chat?
Nope, now I heard you.
Hello?
You were cutting in and out really bad.
Oh, okay.
Hello, can you
Man.
hear me?
Yeah, I got you
This doesn't
good.
make for a great live show, but can you hear me, Steve?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, so you can hear me, Ray Finkel? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah,
So
you
yeah,
cut
Mike.
out for a while. Okay, I
Okay,
think you're back.
so Mike Daniel went and he got his,
Anyway, that was a great rant, Steve, but
he pounded the table for Tua, right? And a lot of podcasters, right? Like as I said, a lot of the podcasters told you the truth, not the ones that were pushing you hopium and everything. Okay. And what did he do? He went and he got hurt. He was still on his 5th-year option. Why are you going to pay a man who hasn't done anything? Hadn't even won a
okay, or maybe it was on my end. He blocked out on my end, so.
All right, cool. He hadn't even won a playoff game, and you're paying him and you're showing him the money. All right, let's talk a little bit about Mike McDaniel since you want to talk about.
Maybe it's my end then, guys.
I think Ray Finkel's the one that brought it up. Yeah, Ray Finkel. Thank you.
Hey, Steve, I guess it's on my end. I'll keep on free.
Okay, brother. All right. So.
All right. Well, for having me.
Hey, no problem, Rob. Hey, man, thanks for joining, brother. Appreciate it. We got to do this again sometime.
All right, thank you, man. So I don't know. I guess I'm freezing for whatever reason. I just because I thought you were cutting out, but I guess it was me.
Oh, okay, brother.
All
no
right.
problem.
See you later.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks, man, for joining.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Yep. No, thank you, man. Have fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Rob, Dolphins Thirsty. You know him by Dolphins Thirsty. You can find him on X from time to time. Great guy, my buddy. He was with me for almost 3 years when I started Real Talk Fence Talk. So it was a real pleasure for him to come on and join me tonight. It was a surprise. But anyway, so to get to Mike McDaniel, look, when we hired Mike McDaniel in the coaching staff in the first year that Mike McDaniel became our coach, I liked the hiring. I really did. And then I liked the hiring because I bought into the hype. I bought into, I was at the time, I was taking them hopium pills. Okay. I really was. I was taking the hopium pills, um, and I bought into all the hype, but then when I really started to do the research and studying, this team more under a microscope, and then I checked into Mike McDaniel. He was never a coach anywhere. I mean, he was a run game coordinator. That's it. In San Francisco, they gave him the title of offensive coordinator, but he didn't call the plays there. Okay? He was a pencil pusher. That's all he was. He may be a good play designer, okay? And he's not a good coach. But he's not a good coach in a manner that a lot of you probably don't see it the way I do, okay? Look, I think, yes, I believe he knows no other offense than the Shanahan system or this West Coast type offense, outside zone, whatever you want to call it. It's been around for a long, long time. Okay. But he implemented his own little style, his own little, wrinkles in this type offense. That's all he knows, though. He knows no other system. And that's what you're seeing. Okay. And not to say that this system isn't not that good. Yes, it's a very good system. The scheme is great. I have no problem with that. Okay. Maybe the smoke and mirrors, all the motions and things like that, I don't like. You know what's holding this team back? You know what's holding Mike McDaniel's playbook? You know why he can't open that playbook? Tua Tagovailoa. Yes. Show me the money is holding him back. Why? Why? I'll tell you why. Tua doesn't have the arm. He doesn't have the mobility. He can't go off script, and he can't throw outside the numbers. How many times did you see him throw outside the numbers in the Colts game? How many times did you see him go deep when Tyreek and Waddle were running free out there with their arms up? Why didn't he throw it deep? I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, because he has a noodle arm. He can't get the ball out there to those guys. That's a waste of their talent. With all that speed, he can't get the ball to him deep. Do you all realize that Tyreek Hill, okay, look, well, you can say anything you want about Tyreek Hill, about his off-field problems that he has and everything. I don't like him. I think we should get rid of him. But there's one thing you can't say about him is when he's on that field, okay, he gives the best opportunity to win, even though you don't see it. And the reason why we don't see it recently is because of our quarterback. Okay. Tyreek Hill hasn't caught a 30 plus pass in a year. In 1 year, he hasn't caught a pass that was 30 or plus. Do you think that's because of him? No, it's because of our quarterback. Why can't we throw outside the numbers? Is it because of our receivers? Is it because of Mike McDaniel can't make a play call outside the numbers? No, it's because of our quarterback. Oh, when the first read breaks down, we got a quarterback that isn't a very good processor. And everybody said, oh, he's so accurate. He's not accurate. He throws the ball in spots. How many freaking times have we heard that by other players after they left the Miami Dolphins? And don't be surprised if Tyreek is not on this team in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, even though his trade value has gone down because of his off-field antics. Right? Don't be surprised, maybe even before he gets traded. He's going to tell you all how he really feels and what he feels about Tua Tagovailoa. You watch. That's why McDaniel, everybody's saying he's a bad coach. Yes, I grant you, A bad play caller, excuse me, not a coach. I think he's a bad coach all around. The reason being, he's not a leader of men. He dresses up in pedal pushers, right? He's a social worker. Tries to be your buddy, and I think he's lost the locker room, to be honest with you. Nobody respects him. You can just read and see it between the lines. Nobody respects this guy. He's a joke. He's a joke in the national media. Okay? And all this stuff about, oh, he talks in circles. Nobody understands him. You know why he talks in circles and why, he goes, number one, he's stalling for time because he wants to get the hell out of there up at the podium. You know why? Because he doesn't have any answers. And if he told you the real answers, a lot of you won't like him. And number two, if he told you the real answers, he wouldn't have a job the next day. So that's why he goes up there and acts like an idiot, like a fool, and talks in circles, stalling for time because he has no answers, just like he has no freaking answers on the field. And the reason why? Because number one, he can't adjust because that's all he knows is that one scheme. And number two, he can't change the scheme up. Even if he did know another scheme, and maybe he does, is because of our quarterback. Period. I had a podcast about this, maybe a month ago or so. I said the thing that's holding back this Miami Dolphins football team, okay, and I know a lot of you don't want to hear that, is Tua Tagovailoa. He is the showstopper for this team. Now, sure, I'm going to talk about Anthony Weaver too, right? Here's the thing about Anthony Weaver. What does he have to work with in the defensive backfield? He lost Jalen Ramsey, lost Christian Wilkins, right? Who else did we lose in the defensive backfield? We got a bunch of young rookies back there, right? In Marshall, Dante Trader. We got some makeshift cornerbacks in Jack Jones and Storm Duck, undrafted. Storm Duck. The guys he has back there are backups for most teams, for a lot of teams. We're playing with backups. Malafanu was a backup. Ashton Davis was a backup. So to be fair to him, what does he have to do in order to compensate for that? Well, I don't know if you all saw it in the game. We had Kenneth Grant in coverage. We had Jalen Phillips in coverage. Didn't work, but that's what it amounts to. That's what it boils down to. He has to protect his defensive backfield because they ain't it. They're backups. So I got to give a little slack to Anthony Weaver, just a little bit. He called a terrible game. Whatever he did in order to protect his defensive backfield, it didn't work. Hopefully he's going to be able to adjust this next game against the New England Patriots. Now, the New England Patriots, they don't have the trenches like the Baltimore Colts did, or Indianapolis Colts. They don't have the trenches. I don't think they have the talent like the Indianapolis Colts did. So the game coming up, we should win this game. But then again, I said we should win this last game against the Colts. I had us winning. But now it's 50-50 with me. It's 50-50. Watching week 1 football games like, yes, Pittsburgh or Baltimore, Buffalo, Chargers, Chiefs. Do you really think the Dolphins can compete against those teams? No, not at all. Not at all. And I'm glad you brought that up because guess what? We've got to play against 7 or 8 really good quarterbacks and teams. I said we were going to go 8-9. Man, it's looking more like 5-12 right now. 4-13 right now. It could change. We could go into New England. We could beat the crap out of them, right? But then again, then we're going to face Buffalo the next short week on Thursday, and guess what? We're going to get our asses beat. No doubt. I have no doubt Buffalo's going to beat us. No doubt they're not going to beat us. They're going to beat us, and they're going to beat us bad, even at home. So, and I don't remember, is it a home game? Do y'all know if it's a home game or is it a away game? I forgot now. Yeah, I forgot. But thanks for joining everybody in the chat. I appreciate it. I saw Ray Finkel and Onion. I know I'm gonna chop this name up. Arion Zine. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. But yeah, we're gonna lose to Buffalo. We'll probably be the best case scenario. We'll probably be 1-2 at the end of 3 games. And possibly might be 0-3. Unfortunately, I could see it coming a mile away. Beginning after last year, and then during the training camp. I tried to be as positive and optimistic as I could be. And then when I saw this first game against the Colts, I was right all along. And I was hoping I was wrong. I was right all along. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to kind of go over the I got Rob on here as a surprise. So I'm not going to say it threw me. It kind of threw off the format that I had for tonight and everything. But I'm glad Rob came on, as I said. I appreciate him. I wanted to get his input, and I was happy to have him on. But anyway, we're playing the New England Patriots next week. We should win the game. I think it's going to be a tough match, though. I think it's going to be really tough. I'll make a prediction. Right now. I think we're going to score 24 points. And I think New England will probably score 17. I think the final score will be 27 in Miami's favor. But then again, I was wrong about the first prediction because, at the beginning of the year, I had us beating the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm already behind the 8 ball. So if we lose to New England, I had them beating New England too the first week. I had them splitting with New England, beating them the first week. And then towards the end of the week, end of the year, we play them again. And I had them losing to us toward the end of the year, had us going 8-9. But if we lose to New England, man, I don't know what to tell you all. I just don't know what to tell you. I really foresee this team not really playing well this year. I just don't see any. I don't have anything to say optimistic about this team this year. I really don't. I just don't see us. I just don't even see us winning 8 games now, to be honest with you. I mean, that's just the way I feel. Hopefully I'm wrong. Yeah, away game. Oh yeah, we definitely lost that game, man. But anyway, thanks again for joining the show tonight. I appreciate y'all. It was a nice surprise again to have Rob on here. I'll be on here again next week, same time, same channel, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you're in the Central Time Zone, I'll be on at 6:30, of course. So come join me again, and hopefully we'll have better news. Hopefully we'll beat the New England Patriots this week, and maybe I can be a little more positive. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, it's not looking very good. Thanks for going to the show. God bless, and remember, Dolphins #1, baby. Dolphins #1.